So I'm speaking with.
David Berlin, Chief Content Officer with UBM Tech Media.
You guys have an enormous slew of media properties, and you have a lot of smart people in the tech space that are looking at them. How do you, I guess, sort of build your editorial on a sort of an ongoing basis, learning what their interests are? I mean, I know this is essentially the definition of your job, but what tools are you taking advantage of to be able to do this?
Well, for starters, we ask them, right? So we stay in constant touch with our readership, and we try to find out what it is their areas of interest are. So that's one. Another thing we do is, because we like to sort of game out the trends, something that we did here, that Fritz Nelson and I just did here at E2 as a part of our keynote, we try to spot what's coming and figure out, hey, is this something that we need to devote a significant amount of our editorial resources to? So, you know, probably the most recent trend that we sort of jumped on was the BYOD trend, bring your own device. When we saw consumerization of IT becoming a hot button, we decided that we were going to devote significant resources to it, and we relaunched BYTE, and we made the dual-sided coin of BYOD. The people who are bringing their own devices, and then the people who have to manage that trend. The IT people who have to secure it. The sole position of BYTE. And if you go there today, you'll see a lot of BYOD stuff. So we do some trend spotting, and then we try to decide whether or not this is going to be big enough for us or not. We also use our traffic, right? Our analytics. We use Omniture, and we get an enormous amount of data from Omniture telling us exactly what our audience members are doing, what content they're looking at, how long they're reading the content for, which media forms work better than others. For example, you know, video versus text versus still images, and we use that as sort of a reinforcement of the good decisions we're making, and also to show us where we're making some bad decisions and to make some adjustments.
Do you have some kind of formula of balancing, you know, oh, let's follow what everyone's reading and just give them more of that content versus, well, we got to kind of be on the forefront and sort of discovering the new trends and creating something they're not thinking about? Do you try to create some kind of balance between those sort of two media streams?
Well, I think that one is that, you know, we obviously keep an eye on what the news is, what the hot news of the day is, because we usually will have a unique perspective on that. On that news. So we try to stay, you know, if the hot news of the day is going to be some new device from Apple, we'll put it, it's obviously going to be everywhere, and we have to compete in a space where there's a lot of noise. We try to have a better signal-to-noise ratio than most by providing our own insightful analysis of that news. So this is largely based on having the right people on board. So we pride ourselves on having great analysts, great editors who know how to spot the right stuff, not only spot the right stuff for our audience, by the way, so it's got to be put in the right context for our audience, but also to provide the analysis. In terms of bringing something, the second part of your question, bringing something to our audience that maybe nobody's ever thought of. So, you know, we're talking about two different things. One, what's the hot news today, and what's our perspective on it, and why is it unique? But then the other one is why, what about stuff that's coming that nobody's thought of? Of course, when you have the right people, we call them brand individuals, by the way. When you have the right brand individuals on board, what that means is that they can not only put today's news in context, but they can do sort of the thing that Fritz Nelson and I just did here at E2 Innovate, which is we took a bunch of news. We sort of spotted a trend in that news, and then we gamed it out to come up with an analysis and a prediction of what might happen next, which we think is a very important service that we can provide to our audience members, because they're trying to do the same thing. They're basing buying decisions and IT portfolio decisions on where things are heading, and they're going to want to know how the players are going to align in a way that either advantages their next professional move or not.
David, you're awesome as always. Thanks.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, David.